before.
File 9.
Before that, even if it's just for the record. So, at least from what we have seen in the ad hoc committee transcript and this affidavit now, and the WhatsApp exchanges and email exchanges, we can say that Advocate Johnson did not tell the truth in Parliament to the ad hoc committee when she said you received the Section 27 referral on the 16th of February 2025. That was an outright lie, looking at these documents.
Correct.
Just before the adjournment, we were at page 74 of file 11, which were these are your notes of a meeting held on the 1st of September 2025, and I had asked you what was the purpose for this meeting.
Advocate Johnson was unhappy with Advocate Serunya's questions and his emails and his questioning of whether these matters fell within IDAC's mandate. She was upset about the constant request for the 27 referral. So Advocate Johnson chaired the meeting while Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi joined on Teams. Oh, sorry. Advocate Johnson seemed to be upset with Advocate Hlatswayo and myself as well in indicating that we had not explained to Advocate Serunya the overarching purpose of the crime intelligence matters.
Which she said was what?
Racketeering and state capture.
And did she explain the state capture aspect?
She addressed Advocate Serunya trying to explain that the Mukwele arrest was similar to that of the Celebi judgment and that of the Zuma Sheikh judgment. There was disagreement about that because in those judgments, it was clear what the quid pro quo would be, even though there wasn't a specific agreement. And yes, the gratification or the quid pro quo would come in effect later on, but it was evident from the relationship what would be expected. Versus the Mukwele matter where it's just a mere statement of in the future. In the future to do what? So that was the to and fro's that were happening. However, Advocate Johnson then got agitated and took over and wouldn't allow us to speak and laid down the law that these matters are going to proceed and that the investigating officers are going to explain to the prosecutors what the evidence is and how we should interpret it and understand it and prosecute it.
Leave that page. The entry at page 74 still, the entry right at the top, what is that about? What does it say?
The first entry with the dot under
Yes.
the names, and we need to finalize the charge sheet, Kumalo matter.
And that's a different matter to the Mukwele matter.
It's the same matter. It was referred to as the Kumalo matter, or we referred to it as the Kumalo matter, being myself, Advocate Hlatswayo, and Advocate Serunya.
And this is on the 1st of September, isn't it? So at this point, there was no finalized charge sheet yet. And yet they have been arrested. Can you just explain what happened?
After Advocate Serunya came on board and he was listening to us and we were explaining that there's no crime of corruption, he also picked it up when he read it. And that's how the second charge sheet, it was at this point that the second charge sheet of Section 21, conspiracy, was drafted.
What Advocate Serunya referred to as the amended charge sheet.
Correct.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, correct.
I see. Thank you.
And on page 77, there's another entry in reference to the chart sheet. So at the bottom of the page, just before the arrow that says Mukwele's docket, it says, I can't see the first word, it says just have to beef up chart sheet in equal corruption. 77.
We just have to.
Do you see it?
Yes. Beef up charge sheet, equal corruption, Mokwele's docket.
So part of the discussion here was to beef up the Mokwele charge sheet to the corruption charge in the Mokwele charge sheet.
With regards to this conversation, it was more the investigators telling the prosecutors what evidence is there to beef up the charge sheets to prove corruption.
Okay, and then if we, because we have dealt with this aspect quite extensively on these discussions, I want to go
Explaining various things about how Advocate Shlatswayo, Advocate Suruni and myself are not understanding the evidence of the Mokwele dockets. He then tells us that the minister, being Minister Mkunu, arranged for someone to fly to Eastern Cape to him and provide the IGI reports.
And this is the IGI report that was prepared in respect of the crime intelligence investigations undertaken by the IGI.
Correct.
Which you were told at the time in January they were still busy with investigations.
Correct. And my understanding of those reports is someone very high up has to approve that we share that information.
Okay, so what Mr. Perumal communicated in that meeting was that Minister Mkunu arranged for someone to fly that report, a hard copy of that report, to Mr. Perumal in the Eastern Cape.
Correct.
And the IGI had given that report to the minister?
Correct.
And in terms of what legislation or powers did the IGI give that report to the minister? Was there an explanation as to, was it commissioned by the minister, report commission or investigation commissioned by the minister?
It's unclear. I just know that that report was not supposed to come to us in that way.
Okay, do you know it wasn't supposed to come to IDAC via the minister?
Correct.
Okay, and why do you say that?
Because the IGI, I had read the act prior to going to have the meeting with Advocate Governor.
In January? In
January. There's certain procedures and processes that must be followed in order for that information sharing. I had also spoken to Advocate Lowe, the deputy director who's retired now. He was dealing with a matter that IGI and him, or that team, were sharing information. There were channels that had to be followed in order for that information to be shared.
And did Mr. Perumal say whether Advocate Johnson was aware that he had gotten the report from the minister?
Yes, in my notes, there's, in one of the notes, there is a note, just a note down that says Dylan must call IG. But in this meeting, Mr. Perumal indicated very clearly that the ID is aware that the minister has arranged for this report to be flown to me.
Okay, I'll ask you to find that reference during the lunch adjournment, but for now, so that is what he tells you about how he got the report.
Correct.
And does he say anything else about the report in that meeting? Because you have a reference that says page 45 to 75. I would assume that's page 45 to 75 of the report.
Correct. It's even parties even telling us which part of the report is relevant. Mr. Perumal then WhatsApps me the IGI reports.
We can go to page 600 first, and you tell us what PDF, 77 pages. We can confirm that the covering letter is 2 pages and the report is 75 pages.
Correct.
Okay. Now back to that meeting. He references page 45 to 75, and he must have then had a discussion with you as to what 45 to 75 contains, what it deals with.
It dealt with the appointments and vetting aspects, yeah.
in respect of the matters that IDAC was also investigating?
Portions, yes.
Portions, so more than what IDAC was investigating, or was IDAC investigating more than what the IG was investigating? Or were they identical?
I can't pinpoint exactly how, but I do remember that Advocate Sarunia, myself, and Advocate Shlatswayo read the report, and Advocate Sarunia also sent an email based on it saying, I read the IGI report and it takes us no further.
And insofar as the IGI report is concerned, we know now that Mr. Perumal gets it through the Office of the Minister.
Correct.
And you say that you know that we're not IDAC is not supposed to get it that way. How were you going to use the report if it was beneficial, or if it was corroborative of IDAC's investigation? Was there a discussion about that?
It's the same thing as the email that's the subject heading secret, where somehow, some way, Mr. Perumal got, I think it's General Particular's disciplinary assessment report on all the, so it's the Mokwele and the 6 others. So when he emailed it to us, the subject was secret. And so the discussion stemmed that it was going to be used for intelligence purposes, but prosecutors don't use things for intelligence purposes. And I think that's also what stemmed Advocate Surunia's email saying it takes this case no further.
But when he was discussing the report, because you hadn't seen it at that stage, but he was discussing it, was Mr. Perumal saying that it is supportive of IDAC's investigation and the charges that you were pursuing against the crime intelligence officials?
His words were, it's golden.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It was
in support of.
Do you know if Advocate Sarunia also got the IG report?
Yeah, what happened was when, because Advocate Sarunia doesn't like WhatsApp, so it was WhatsApp to me and then printed. So we printed 3 copies for the 3 advocates to work off.
Okay, and so after he then perused that, he said doesn't take the matter any further?
It takes the case no further, yes.
Okay. Then I'd like to move on to...
Maybe before you move off this, you say in the past you have had cooperation with the IGI office in other matters.
Correct.
Ordinarily, what is the process for you to get that cooperation and to get their reports?
It must be finalized.
How does it work?
The report must be finalized.
Yes.
And then it must be given to the authority that controls the IGI or requested me, the president, the minister's office or whatever. Okay. But that report is only supposed to be released once it's finalized. And then there's mutual legal assistance that we would then sit and discuss, okay, portions of this, guys, we're going to have to redact, you can't use it, we cannot disclose it to you. Portions we can disclose in terms of just for you to guide where you might possibly want to go for your investigations, but it would never be the full report, and it would only be the finalized report.
So just to make sure that I understand, in the normal course, this report that you end up getting by WhatsApp, you say in normal proper course, it would have come from the IGI to whoever is the authority that the IGI reports to, be it the president or the minister responsible for the IGI, and then it would go to IDAC directly or to the Minister of Justice, Minister of Police. I just want to understand how Minister Mkunu would, if things were done properly, how he would end up with this report. to your knowledge, from your experience?
From the way, because the only other matter that's getting assistance from IGI is under advocate law. So when I was going, because I was walking in blindly, I had not dealt with the IGI previously. So when I asked for assistance on how it works, it's a confidential document or a top secret document. It also has to be declassified before it comes to us. So this document was not declassified. It's still in its raw confidential or top secret form.
That's contrary to how it's normally done in the normal course. It would have had to be declassified for you to look at it,
Correct.
to be able to work with it.
Correct. And there needs to be, so like I was explaining, in the mutual legal assist, you would then agree, paragraph 4, guys, you're redacting, paragraph 5, you may use for this purposes, I'm not disclosing these witnesses.
Thank you.
Just explain this in your discussion. What did he say you must do with this report? Because he's sharing it with you on WhatsApp. Did he say you must read it and then what? Assist you in your prosecution of the ongoing matters?
Commissioner, the way it was explained to Advocate Surunya, Advocate Shlaswaya, and myself, it was after we read it, the advocates will have a better understanding of what we're supposed to prosecute in the Mokwele docket.
I see. But you say this was a draft, it was not final. It had not been sent to the relevant people who were supposed to get it, whether they are a minister or a relevant body.
All I know is that the minister sent the report that IGI refused to give us to Mr. Peruma. And in terms of the act and the mutual legal assistance that we usually, it's not proper procedure.
Thank you.
And it's being shared on WhatsApp.
Did I hear you to say the minister gave it to somebody who went and delivered it to Mr. Peruma?
Mr. Perumal's words during the meeting on the first and then repeated on the second was that the minister made arrangements for someone to fly with the report to meet him in Eastern Cape or East London to hand the report to him.
Thank you.
When Advocate Surunya gave evidence, he explained that he was involved in that process. You were also involved in that process. What we want to understand was what was Advocate Johnson's involvement in that process and the decision-making by Advocate Johnson during that process. Now, we know that there was an application by the accused to amend the bail conditions insofar as, particularly the one that we're interested in, is the bail condition that they were not to enter into any crime intelligence offices throughout the country.
Correct.
That formed part of a bail application in terms of Section 63.
Correct. And
you had a discussion with Advocate Johnson about that application?
So Advocate Johnson was on the phone or Teams comms with Mr. Beluchin, Mr. Padiachi, and Mr. Perumal. And I was contacted by Advocate Johnson's PA that I must come in urgently. They were also looking for Advocate Shlaswaya, but it was lunchtime and I think I was the only one in the office at the time. Of the three of us. So when I got there, I stood at the door of Advocate Johnson's office and she instructed that we must oppose the Section 63. And that we must start drafting. And then a few minutes, I think it was maybe half an hour later, she sent a WhatsApp to me saying...
Can we go to that WhatsApp? Yes, page 610 of file 10 part 2.
Thank you. Brief Peter and tell him what I have requested.
Just wait first.
Sorry. So this is after I was called into the office and told. And then Advocate Johnson WhatsApps me, brief Peter and tell him what I have requested. Does he agree? I reply, I will. He has stepped out for lunch as soon as he is back.
Sorry, it's not your fault this time, but could you just move closer to them and raise your voice because there's sound from above. I will. He has stepped out for lunch as soon as he is back.
To which he replied at 13:12, okay. After a conversation with, it was about a 2-hour, maybe an hour and a half conversation between Advocate Hlatshwayo, Advocate Surunya and myself. We even pulled out the CPA commentaries and we were researching this instruction. And so I sent Advocate, so after this discussion, I asked Advocate Surunya whether I must inform Advocate Johnson, and he said yes. And then I sent a message saying, Advocate Johnson, we have discussed the Section 63. We do not have legal grounds to justify the application. We have done reading on CPA and commentary based on the current circumstances. Her reply is noted.
When you say we don't have legal grounds to justify the application, do you mean your opposition to the application?
Correct.
Okay. So she says noted, and then what happens thereafter?
On the 11th, my apologies, on the 11th of September, because Advocate Surunya doesn't have WhatsApp. On the 11th of September, Advocate Johnson sends me a message at 19:18 evening. I want to see you, Peter, and Joy in my office tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Peter doesn't have WhatsApp, so I can't message him. I reply, evening Advocate Johnson, noted, I will call him and advise him. She says, thanks.
Then page 611 deals with a different aspect where you're telling her about the Lushaba bail conditions, right? And she's telling you that Advocate Mshololo must go through Peter and all of that.
Correct, yes.
At the bottom of that page 611, she says, why is she asking you? She must ask a client. And then he says, but we will discuss in the morning. This is in the morning because she's asked to meet with you,
at 8:30.
Mr. Surunya and Advocate Hlatshwayo in the morning.
Correct.
Then at 612, you can continue there. This is still the evening of the 12th at the top.
Noted, thank you. I have spoken to Advocate Surunya and informed him.
And this is in reference to the Advocate Mshololo, that you say, I've spoken to Advocate Surunya and informed him.
Correct.
Okay. So then on the 13th.
On the 13th at 16:48, Advocate Johnson sends me a message, Droof. I have read the supplementary prepared by Brian. It's very good. I expect all prosecutors to meet tomorrow and make sure everything is sorted and that arguments are ready. Kindly inform Peter and Joy. I know it's Sunday and I will give each of you time off for putting in time tomorrow. I will also try and come to the office to see how things are going. I reply, afternoon, Advocate Johnson, I will inform both and request that I join either via Teams or WhatsApp. I had my mom for the weekend.
Okay, then she says, sorry to hear, let them do a Teams meeting because all three need to be on the same page, please. Thank you.
Correct.
Is this still about the bail or this is Lushaba now? At 612.
So the messages that Advocate Johnson was sending were about the Section 63, us opposing the Section 63. But in that time, and asked for Mr. Lushaba's bail conditions for the second matter, the Mokwele matter. So because Advocate Johnson doesn't allow us to speak to the attorneys on these matters without informing her, I had screen grab and sent it to her.
But the meeting that she called for was for the bail amendment application that she wanted to meet with you, the three of you, and you had expressed the view that there was no legal grounds in respect of the application. She then wanted to meet anyway, and at that she wanted, based on the affidavit of Mr. Padiachi, she wanted the prosecution team to oppose the application.
Correct.
Okay, and then did you meet on the 14th, Sunday, the 14th of September?
I joined on Teams, so did Mr. Perumal, Mr. Padiachi, Advocate Sarunya, and Advocate Schlatzwayo met at the boardroom in VGM, our head office.
And Advocate Johnson was part of that meeting?
She did not attend.
Okay, so she wanted the three of you to prepare the application or to prepare the opposition to the amendment application.
Correct.
Okay. And you had to do that based on Mr. Padiachi's supplementary.
If I may just explain what was happening at that time. If the commissioners will remember, Chair, the bail application for Mr. Lushaba was postponed to the following week because of the magistrate indicated it was a Schedule 6, and because the affidavit said Schedule 5, there was basically no application before him. So the following week, Advocate Schlatzwayo and myself attended to the bail application of Mr. Lushaba. It was before another magistrate. When Advocate Schlatzwayo read into record all the bail conditions that were imposed on the other 6, the magistrate had said specifically, I am not going to jump onto that boat. In essence, what that magistrate did was suspend the 6 accused prior to the employee even being involved. And so he refused to grant that. And when it was reported to Advocate Johnson and Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi, Advocate Schlatzwayo and I were hauled over the coals because according to them, we should have insisted it was. So it was at that point that I spoke up saying that the magistrate is right. And later on, even with the discussions, I did indicate earlier I was voted off the team because I bear the view that we cannot go and oppose this application. My argument was that the magistrate made the ruling. The state can say that they're leaving it in the hands of the court.
You're saying for the Lushaba bail matter, the second magistrate refused to put the same condition that applied to the other accused the previous week, that they cannot go to the crime intelligence offices.
Correct. And if I may just elaborate on that. When Mr. Lushaba did in fact go back to his office, there was great panic amongst Mr. Perumal, Advocate Johnson, and Mr. Padiachi, to a point where they even wanted me to do a Section 63 application against Mr. Lushaba in the housebreaking matter, and I refused.
So
I said, on what basis? It's a Valeria docket. There's no witnesses from there. So on what basis are you supposed to do a Section 63 to prevent him from going to the office?
I think then the question Advocate Baloy was asking, this Section 63 that you were referring to was a Section 63 that IDAC wanted to bring. It was not the Section 63 relating to the parties in the earlier Mukwele bail.
With regards to the messages?
Yes.
No, at that point, Advocate Sarunya, Advocate Schlatzwayo, and I were not going to oppose the application in terms of Section 63 to relax the bail conditions in terms of Ms. Mukwele, Ms. Nube, Mr. Kumalo, and Mr. Lekalakala, and one other, I can't remember who. And Advocate Johnson had instructed that it must happen. So in that conversation, she wanted me to take the instructions and discuss it with Advocate Sarunya. We said there's no basis. 2 days later, we're getting an instruction based on Mr. Padiachi's affidavit, which is very good. We are opposing.
what Commissioner Kumalo wants to clarify is the Lushaba matter. Now you're in Lushaba.
Prepared by Brian, it is very good. I expect all the prosecutors to meet tomorrow and make sure everything is sorted and that the arguments are ready. What was this for? Was this for the amendment on the Lushaba matter, or was it to oppose the CI7 application to amend their bail conditions?
This is to oppose.
Was it happening at the same time?
Yes, because Mr. Lushaba went back to work or to the office around that time. So they were trying to use one case and bail conditions in the one case to fix what they considered was an error by the magistrate in the second case.
Okay, yes, it seems that you are correct. Advocate Poe says to me that that was in line with Advocate Sarunya's evidence as well. So Advocate Johnson's instruction to you initially, that message was to bring the 63 application in respect of the Lushaba matter. But when she says you must, on the 13th, that she's read the supplementary, that relates to the CI7.
Correct.
Okay. And so you meet and prepare which application then? So what are you preparing on the 14th of September?
On the 14th of September, while the teams was happening, Advocate Sarunya was going through Mr. Padiachi's affidavit and asking Mr. Padiachi and Mr. Perumal to explain each paragraph of the affidavit so that he could understand how it was going to be argued. And so that's how 3 hours went by. And then I excused myself at 5.
Okay. Then on page 613, if we can just deal with that on the 14th. So there on the 14th, now this was the day of the meeting, the team's meeting, and can you just read this message and tell us what's going on here? We know that it was a team's meeting.
Okay, but the last portion,
it has been redacted.
It has been redacted.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so on the 14th, Advocate Johnson sends me a message at 14:55. Drew, sorry to be a pain in the butt. Parliament has summoned the NDPP and Madam expects me to go with. I need the bail conditions in writing of both matters. Can I please get copies of both charge sheets with bail conditions before close of business tomorrow? Can you email or WhatsApp to me, whichever is convenient? I hope Mom is doing a bit better. I reply, afternoon, Advocate Johnson. It's never a problem. I will forward leg 1 now and ask Joy to send leg 2 immediately. We are on Teams.
So you were still in that meeting?
Correct.
Okay. And so we'll speak, I am sitting and preparing the prep exco tomorrow on what we have to respond to. Now, this is while you're having the meeting and you're discussing the various applications and opposition to the applications. And what was Advocate Johnson requiring the bail conditions for purposes of the NDPP's appearance at Parliament? This was, I assume, at the ad hoc committee.
Looking at the date, yes, correct.
Okay, so, and she was just being asked by the NDPP to assist with that?
Correct.
Was she not aware of what the bail conditions were, or was she looking for a document that had it? Was that the only thing?
No, Advocate Johnson was well aware of bail conditions on both. That's why she says, can I get copies of both charge sheets with bail conditions before close of business tomorrow? So it would have been the J15, the charge, the annexes to the charges, and the appearance sheets and the notes of the magistrates that she was looking for.
Okay. Then just one last issue before we get to the Medicare 24 is there is a you'll recall that when you gave evidence the first time and you dealt with the missing section 27 and the email that you sent on the 9th of October 2025 setting out what had happened, that Advocate Johnson had given you the affidavit, you brought it back to her office, and you said that Advocate Johnson responded to your email via WhatsApp, and if she disagreed with your account of what happened, she would have said so. At the time, we didn't have that WhatsApp. We now do have it, and just for it to be placed on record at page 614, if you can read that into the record, just remembering that this is in response to your email of 9 October 2025.
Thank you. At 15:04, Advocate Johnson sends me a WhatsApp saying, Drew, I saw your email and I will look in my office tomorrow. I might have made a mistake and told her that Chief called you today. When I spoke to the Chief, he was referring to you having the section 27 initially, and that Tsepo spoke to you today. It was my mistake. Chief didn't say so. I reply, noted, Advocate Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you. And did Advocate Johnson get back to you as to whether she found the section 27 in her office?
No, never did.
Great. And at this point, you are discussing which section 27? Is it the one that was presented before us, or the one that references the PKTT complaints and others?
In the email and in this, there was, as I stated, my interpretation of why the commissioners and the chair ended up with this is that they were trying to make sure that the original, there was no copies of the original to show that there was PKTT. So they were alleging that I said I had misplaced it, which is why I responded in email in that manner. And Advocate Johnson replies in WhatsApp. And then when I see the 27 referral flighted here, in my head, I put two and two together as to why they were trying to scapegoat me with the 27 missing.
So the 27 referred to in this WhatsApp message, where she says, I made a mistake, she's referring to the one that you saw and had to give back to her.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. Then it really is the last topic on this aspect. In your notes on file 11, page 59, because we are dealing with the topics and not going chronologically, I don't want to miss out on this point because it does fall under the Mokwele matter, even though the timeline is June 2025 and we deal mainly in June 2025 with the Medicare 24 issue. This is your notes regarding a meeting on the 10th of June 2025, where you say it was the ID was present, Joy, Sesoko, Charles, Pat, Brian, Dylan, and you. And you were discussing the project operation or project diversion. There is in the corner, in a block on the right-hand side, a reference to somebody's name. You'll tell us who that person is, and in charge of vetting. I just want you to address the commissioners on that note.
This is a meeting that's called by the ID to discuss the takedown. Before I get to that block, can I just, the reason I want to just discuss this portion is it will also explain how this block happened. So Advocate Johnson, who is the head of office, who's not on the ground doing investigations, is now informing the prosecutors and the investigators where accused number 3, Mr. Hudson, must be picked up from. Meaning when the team goes to arrest him, they must arrest him from his home because he works at a safe house. These are now the instructions from Advocate Johnson.
This is where you say, what is that word where you say something for Thursday?
Aim for Thursday.
Aim for Thursday. So you're aiming for J50 Thursday?
Correct.
And she's telling you, she's now setting out what is to happen to the accused when the arrests are executed.
Correct.
Okay.
Because at that point, all the arrests that I had been involved in IDAC, we would phone the suspect or the accused person, and we would ask either for the legal representative's number, or we would speak directly to them. Being the lead investigator would do that. It's called call a friend. That's what we call it. It's called call a friend. So we would say call a friend. We'd call them and inform them, listen, please hand yourself over at the police station at 6 o'clock on Friday morning, so that you are processed and taken to court. We are not opposing bail. Please ensure that you have your legal representation present so that the bail can proceed. That is how, in my experience in the past 4 years, almost 4 years, that is how it's been done with the investigators. Here, they are arresting on the Thursday.
And ordinarily, has the ID been involved in that call a friend decision? When you get to that point, does she give instructions? Now you must go arrest and call them, call a friend and tell them to present.
If I may just give an example. So the ID chooses which project she gets involved in when it comes down to takedown. So in the 2023 27 referral, when everything was complete and we were ready now to enroll the matter. Like I said, I had a very strong deputy director, but even he couldn't stand up to Advocate Johnson. And there was plans to go and arrest the suspect and drive the suspect for 6 hours so that they can appear in Pretoria. And I'm saying to them that this person is an elderly person with comorbidities. It can never happen that way. You cannot put them in the back of the car to drive them, especially for something that happened in 2014. So eventually, the deputy director and I got very frustrated, and because they wanted to make a spectacle of the arrests. They wanted flash and lights of cameras, and so eventually the deputy director and myself went to Mr. Sissoko, and we said, please go and speak to Advocate Johnson on our behalf, because this arrest cannot take place this way. So here, there was no, I think from the evidence the commission has heard thus far, no matter what was said during this project, what Advocate Johnson and what Mr. Paramore wanted was done. So there was no reasoning. So they were planning to arrest on Thursday to appear on the Friday. Advocate Johnson was asking where Lushaba was going to be picked up from. Then Advocate Johnson was advising that Hudson must be picked up and taken to the station for processing from his home because he works at a safe house, and that they had to figure out where Eugene was because he's traveling a lot and he's medically boarded off or something, so he's not permanently within crime intelligence anymore.
This list is the Lushaba matter.
Correct.
Okay.
Now going to the block that I had explained to Advocate Nube. So we in Advocate Johnson's office, and we're sitting at the boardroom table and we're discussing. Advocate Johnson is now giving instructions about what must happen in the third week, because remember, every second week she wanted arrests. Advocate Johnson looks at me and she says, Drew, you'll be embarrassed to be Indian. So I was taken aback because I was busy taking notes, and I didn't know that they were talking about the person who's acting as in Mr. Khan's place. It's a Miss Krishnadutt.
General Khan's position. Yes,
correct. It's a Miss Krishnadutt.
Brigadier Krishnadutt.
Thank you. So Advocate Johnson says, Drew, you'll be embarrassed to be Indian. The way she walks around talking to the staff, you'll be embarrassed. And then I'm told that I must, when I'm getting to the point of looking at the evidence for the vetting, because Brigadier Krishnadutt is acting in as the head of the vetting department at the moment, I must look if there's evidence to charge Krishnadutt.
As part of CI7 in the Mukwele matter?
Either CI7 or the other two.
Okay, so one of the vetting matters.
That is why it's there in that block the way it is.
And who is Brigadier Krishnadutt?
So from that conversation in Advocate Johnson's office, Advocate Johnson then said, when she was explaining how Brigadier Krishnadutt speaks to this staff and why I'd be embarrassed and all of that, she indicated Junaid is reporting to her. So at that time, I already knew that Junaid is Mr. Johnson, Advocate Johnson's husband.
And the Brigadier Krishnadutt is that she was promoted to Brigadier before Brigadier Johnson.
I came to learn that after, when I was inquiring as to what exactly is up with, because it's the first time I'm hearing the name. We now already almost 6 months into the investigation. It's not on the 2830. And I'm being told to look for. But the manner in which it was explained in the office about being embarrassed and the way the brigadier speaks to her staff and the screaming, etc.
And Brigadier Krishnadutt hadn't come up in any of the previous meetings, any documentation regarding any of the matters at that stage?
No, in fact, Mr. Perumal called me later that evening after this meeting, or maybe later that week, but after this meeting. And he said to me, hey, Dee, I looked, but I can't find any evidence against Krishnadutt.
And did Advocate Johnson give an indication as to where she was getting this information? Was it pillow talk or was it coming from General Khan?
I cannot answer that. I had my own ideas because of, my own assumptions because of the way the investigation was being done. And the fact that in every single meeting, Advocate Johnson would refer to Mr. Khan. Either Mr. Khan messaged or
General Khan.
General Khan. Or that Mr. Perumal had spoken to General Khan.
Okay. Thank you for indulging me on